Hi everyone, welcome back to Forward Therapy. My name is Kelly, I'm a certified hand therapist, and in today's video we are going to go over how to make a wrist cock-up splint pattern. So this is for all the hand therapists out there, especially those of you who are newer to the field or an OT or PT that's making orthosis for a patient and you want to know how to make a wrist cock-up pattern. So let's go ahead and get into it. I think having a paper towel is helpful to make a pattern, especially if you don't already have a pre-fabricated pattern cut out. So you want to have the patient lay their hand on top of the towel, the paper towel, and then you just want to make sure that their wrist is not ulnarly or radially deviated. Make sure that it's really nice and straight in line with the middle finger. And then you can use a pen, a Sharpie, a yellow wax pencil, whatever you have. I like to start at the hand level and then work my way down, but you could kind of go whatever position that you like. So what I usually am looking for first is finding the distal palmar crease, because we want to make sure that our wrist cock-up doesn't block the distal palmar crease on the front so that they can move their metacarpals. So we would mark it kind of on the pinky side, and you just put like a dot or a line, and then we do the same kind of on the index finger side. So I'm just looking at my metacarpal along the side and then finding that distal palmar crease, and that's right where I'm going to put my little mark on the papers. So that's what we've got so far, 2 little lines. And then I like to, from there, just come straight out about the length of the thumb to make my web space, and then I just have them move their thumb so that I can create kind of my little extension piece that's going to wrap around the back of the hand. And then I like to indicate also where the thumb kind of crease starts, because you're going to also want to avoid this part of their thumb, right? Sorry. You want to avoid this part of their thumb being caught in the orthosis so that they're able to oppose their thumb as well. So remember, we're going to have the pattern cut in a little bit. So again, I got myself in place, and then I like to come down the side. I'll mark sort of where the wrist joint is on either side, and then I usually indicate kind of where I want the splint to end with some lines. And then you also want to remember that as the forearm gets more proximal, it also gets a little bit thicker or wider, and so we want to make sure to taper our splint so that it's not a straight line, that it has a little bit of a tapering adjustment for that width. So I've got my wrist marking here, and I'm just marking down the side. Got my wrist marking here, just marking down the side. So you're literally just connecting the dots between these points. So this is kind of my distal palmar crease line, my extension. There's the wrist joint coming up. This we're going to kind of cut around the edges, and then my wrist joint coming up, and I know I'm going to move a little bit rounded around the thumb joint. So that's what our wrist cock-up pattern is going to look like for the hand. And I would probably make it just a little wider around the hand here, to be honest, now that I'm looking at it. I often eyeball these a little bit, so that's kind of our wrist cock-up pattern, and I probably don't need quite this much on the extension, just looking at the back of my hand. The nice thing with paper towel patterns is that you can actually cut it out, and if you want to, especially while you're practicing or getting good at this or getting used to doing this, you can cut it out and literally lay it on the patient and see if you have extra material, because it's easier to work with less than more. You don't want to have too little, but if you have too much, it also makes fabrication kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So now we've got this little cutout of the wrist cock-up, and so when we lay it on the patient, you should be able to see, okay, good, I've got good, contact. I'm going to be able to roll this down to clear up my DPC, my distal palmar crease. I'm going to be able to roll this back to clear up the thumb crease. This part's going to wrap around the back of the hand, and that looks about right to me. I'll probably end up trimming a little bit off of that, and then it also comes down as long as I want it, and we're able to wrap it around the wrist. So with the length, you usually want to do about 2/3 of the forearm, so that's a good number to remember, or a good estimate length to remember. If it's too short, it's not going to give them enough support. So 2/3 is sort of the good length to go. So yeah, that is our little wrist cock-up pattern and how to make that as a hand therapist or as an occupational therapist working with orthoses. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. Let me know something new that I'm experimenting with. I want to try and support people going into hand therapy as best I can, and I know it's hard to find mentorship, so I'm trying to make this YouTube channel kind of a space for you to have like a virtual mentor and learn how to do some basic hand therapy skills that you might not learn in school. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.